Hello, everyone. I'm Donna Fiducia.
And I'm Don Neuen. And this is Cowboy Logic Radio.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. When their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance.
Welcome to Cowboy Logic Radio, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone. My name is Don Neuen. Let me be the first to say Merry Christmas, everyone. Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Hanukkah. Happy Christmas, everyone. Let me be the first to say all of this to all of you, our beloved listeners. Ladies and gentlemen, Merry Christmas. We went 8 years, 8 long years, living in the shadows, saying Merry Christmas in whisper only. Now, those days are gone. Donna Fiducia, Merry Christmas.
We can say that now, as Donald Trump said. It's okay to say Merry Christmas.
You say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to all.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night.
Yes, I was going to say that, but it's not the end of the show yet, so we can't say to all a good night yet.
So we should say Merry Christmas again, Donna Fiducia.
Yes, we should. And Happy Hanukkah, although Hanukkah actually did end yesterday, but still, we celebrate with our Jewish friends
Happy
as well.
Chanukah.
Happy Chanukah. Exactly.
Chanukah.
Yes.
Chanukah.
Play
That sounds
the
like, you know what
harmonica.
Chanukah sounds like?
Happy
Elizabeth Warren's
Hanukkah.
Indian name.
Yeah. I don't think so.
Chanukah.
You know what's really bad? When you grow up in New York,
That's
you
bad.
look forward. Well, besides that, you look forward, though. The one thing you look forward to is hearing Adam Sandler's Hanukkah song, because he had 3 or 4 different versions of them.
La,
Great.
la, 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 la,
Yeah, I
la,
know.
la, la, la,
But
la.
down here in Georgia, nobody's ever heard it. I'm thinking, you guys, I don't know what you're missing. It's one of the best songs ever.
Who's Adam Sandler?
Adam's a comedian.
Is he
honey.
a nice Jewish boy,
Yes,
Donna?
He is. Yes, he is.
Is Adam Sandler a nice Jewish boy?
Yes, and the thing is,
Can
I
we
hate
talk?
to say it.
Donna, can we talk?
Yes, we can talk. We
Can we talk
We
over
can talk.
coffee?
We
Can we talk over coffee, Donna?
Coffee and bagels.
Merry
Yep.
Christmas
Bagels
to
with
you,
a
Donna
schmear.
Fiducia.
Bagels with a schmear.
Listen,
We can talk
any
about
of
that.
you listeners that are out there right now, any of you are valued, are beloved Cowboy Logic listeners. Whether you are listening to us via the internet or via an FM or an AM radio, please, ladies and gentlemen, at the count of 3, I want you to flash your headlights at Donna Fiducia. 1, 2, 3. Flash your headlights at Donna Fiducia.
Are we on the West Side Highway? Is that what we're doing? Flying 200 feet over the West Side Highway, which is exactly what Howard Stern said to do when I was 200 feet over the West Side Highway, and everybody flashed their headlights.
One of our liberal listeners,
many years ago.
one of our liberal listeners, Rico, I will not say his last name, Rico, let's name him Rico Suave.
Yes.
Rico hit me this past week and said that Howard Stern mentioned you again on the air this year.
He does on occasion. Usually my cousins up in New Jersey hear that too, because they are faithful Howard listeners. But you know,
Hey, Donna's, let me give a side note here. Donna's cousin is named Vinny.
he is not.
Vinny?
I actually don't have a cousin,
Paulie?
Vinny. Paulie, I do.
Petey?
I got a Petey. I got a couple Paulies.
Paulie, Petey, but no Vinny.
Anyhow,
What's up, Donna Fiducia? No Vinny.
many, many years ago, after I
Yeah,
left
I like
Fox,
that gold around your neck there, Donna
yeah,
Fiducia.
I do have some. Although, it actually gives me a headache after a while. I don't wear any jewelry. Isn't that terrible? But I went up to New York and I went into Sirius XM, into Howard's studio, and recorded some stuff with him that he does like a best of oldies show, and he plays it back every Christmas, during the Christmas week at some point. So usually every Christmas people call me up and go, "Hey, I heard you on Howard again." I recorded that like 10 years ago.
Donna Fiducia, let me ask you a very personal question.
And then I call up Gary and he says, "Hey, Donna, Coffee light with 2 sugars, right? He still remembers.
What's his name?
funny.
Boy Howdy?
Gary Delabate.
But what was his...
He called him Boy Gary.
Boy Gary. All right, Donna Fiducia, let me ask you this. Very important question. Personal question.
What?
Listeners want to know.
I don't remember.
Who is older, you or Howard?
Howard is.
By how many years?
Not many.
Like 2?
Nah, probably a little more than that.
3?
I don't really know, but he is older.
How old do you
That
think
I
Howard
know.
is?
That I don't know. If I could find out, then I could tell you how many years. Look it up. Google it.
I'm working you there, Donna
I don't
Fiducia.
remember. I don't know. 73 times.
Hey, but you
I
had
don't
a birthday
recall
last week,
8
didn't you, Donna
times.
Fiducia?
No, I don't recall that either.
Yes, you
I don't
did,
know.
James Comey.
161 times. I don't remember 73 times. I don't recall 8 times.
Who am I?
That comes out to 242.
Why am I here?
However, then you have to throw in, I have no recollection of, I have no knowledge or involvement of, or things like that, and it comes out to about 250 times that James Comey suddenly got amnesia. Maybe he has short-term memory loss.
Maybe, Donna.
Meanwhile, he's going to be back supposedly being grilled by Congress again. But you know what? It's a lame duck Congress. And as soon as this jerk, Jerry Nadler, gets in there, he's going to shut
And you
down
know
anything.
him. What
I
a
do.
schmuck.
Yeah, he is a
What
schmuck.
a total schmuck.
I had dinner with him once. Me, Hannity, Alan Combs, may he rest in peace, and a guy named Vito Fusella.
Vito. Hey, if you don't have
There's
a
my
Vinny
Vito.
in your back, you got a Vito, or you're just
Vito
not
was
Italian.
a congressman from Staten Island. We all
No
went
kidding.
out. We all went out to eat one night.
Where'd you go, Donna?
A steakhouse.
Carmine's?
I think it was Smith and Walensky. I don't remember. Hannity actually paid. Hannity paid.
Does Robin own Smith and Walensky?
No, Robin Walensky does not. So listen, I got to tell you though, and we're talking probably.
What about
this was-
Shepard? Does
this
he
was
own it?
No, this was close to probably 20 years ago now.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Nadler sits down. This is when he was really kind of rotund. He's had that operation though, so he kind of looks like he's got that Al Sharpton thing going, like
Big head,
yeah,
anorexic body.
the amazing shrinking man.
Yeah.
Anyhow, so Nadler stands up right when we get to the table, and the first thing he says right when we're sitting down is, everything at this table never leaves the table. And then he says to Sean, I agree with everything. I shouldn't say this because it did leave the table, I guess. He says to Sean, everything that we say, I agree with you most of the time, but I can't say that or else my constituents won't reelect me.
Well, he's now a Nadler.
Yeah, he's Madler is what he is. They're all mad now. They have no sense of humor, the left. But he's going to shut everything down now. He is not going to let anything probe Hillary. Well, that came out wrong. The Hillary probe to continue at all, even though for the most part it never even started. He said he's, quote, going to
Is
end.
the Nadler thinking about probing Hillary?
No, I don't think so. He said he's, quote, going to end the nonsense of the probe into the FBI. That's nonsense? I don't think so. So what we're going to need is an attorney general that's going to be willing to do this. I should add something, by the way, about that dinner with Jerry Nadler. This is pretty damn funny. I got to admit.
I find that name to be just gross.
Yeah, well, let me just tell you what happened.
I mean, that's like slang for
He was
something
rather, he was pretty heavy, okay? All right? So all
Would you
I
consider
had,
him to be obese?
He was at the time, and again, he had that operation where they shrink your stomach up, and that's really
And now
dangerous.
he looks like Al Sharpton,
well,
but
he's,
white.
He's definitely lost weight. But I just had a shrimp cocktail because I had eaten dinner. It was about 11 o'clock. It was after Hannity and Combs. That's how long ago it was when Hannity and Combs were still on. And he's literally, I mean, like, just sopping everything up on his plate. There was like not a crumb left on his plate. And I said to him, do you want to lick the plate too?
You are so mean, Donna.
I am really mean, but you know
are.
what? That's because I just don't care. I just
Yeah,
didn't
but
care
20
back
years
then
ago, you
either.
didn't care either.
No, I didn't. That's true. So anyhow, you
Donna,
realize
hold on.
James Comey.
Donna.
What?
Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me be the first to say Merry Christmas to each and every one of you.
Yes.
Didn't I say that well?
Yes. And to all, a good night. Now, getting back to Comey here, And the fact that he said, I don't remember, I don't know, I don't recall, and I have no recollection of something like 250 times. He did say the Steele dossier that prompted the whole mess was unverified.
Right.
Now, by saying that, that throws the whole darn thing right out the window to begin with.
Who am I?
Silk. Diamond and Silk. Because whatever Diamond says, Silk agrees. All right. Comey, by the way, was also at the 92nd Street Y. This is in New York, okay?
YMCA.
And what they do is they have a whole bunch of commie libs that just go there to talk all the time. And meanwhile, Comey, who's supposed to be not Democrat or Republican.
Neutral.
Essentially said he hopes things come to an end. What day is the inaugural? Is it January 20th?
Something like that.
Yeah, 2021.
That's
so
right.
obviously when a new president would be inaugurated. So Comey is clearly anti-Trump, even though he says, well, you know, I'm a Republican. Yeah, I'm a Republican, but my wife and daughters went to the supposed woman march the day after Trump got elected.
That's right. Marching away.
Wore those pink hats.
Pink hats. Yep. That's right.
Yep.
Hey, we've got an extraordinary thing coming up here in a couple of minutes, Donna.
Yes, we do. Don, tell us.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this time of year is tough for everyone because you're trying to find the perfect gifts. The gifts that will mean a great deal to your loved ones, to your family, to your friends, to your coworkers. So what do? You mill around in malls. You walk from store to store. You're looking in windows. You're looking at shelves. You're looking at racks of clothes.
You're
and you're trying to
always window shopping, but never stopping to buy.
Is that a Carpenter's song?
Something like that.
Okay.
Oh, take
very interesting. Back to what I was saying, ladies and gentlemen. You're out shopping, and you're trying to find the perfect gift. And you know what? Nowadays, all you got to do is take your cell phone out, click on Amazon, and you start buying right then and right there. You don't have to get in the car. You don't have to fight the cold. You don't have to fight the traffic. You don't have to fight the bazillions of people that are standing around like they're clueless to anything around them. Because all you got to do is use your cell phone. But we've got something that's even better than that.
You know? Okay.
We've got something even better than that.
Yes, we do.
Donna.
Don.
We have selected the 3 most important, most unique, most wonderful Christmas gifts that you could ever purchase in your entire existence on planet Earth.
It's actually unbelievable that you find these things, that you, Don NEUEN, found these things on the internet. Not only did you find them, you've ordered some of them as well.
I did order some of them.
These actually exist, folks.
That's right. And we have put this together in a nice little package for you guys to listen to. We've even piped in some unbelievably neat music.
We have to get into the Christmas spirit. And what way other than music to get into the Christmas spirit?
Hey, Donna, what do you think of this 1974 Kmart in-store Christmas music that I'm playing?
It actually kind of puts you in the Christmas spirit, doesn't it?
Well, it really is. It really is Kmart in-store Christmas music from 1974.
It makes me want to go make some purchases.
That's right. Hello to all of our beloved Cowboy Logic radio audience. With the Christmas season upon us, Donna and I have found some excellent Christmas gifts that are must-haves for your family and friends.
That's right, Don. And at deeply discounted prices for you, Cowboy Logic radio listeners. Why settle for the sweater, a pair of socks, earrings, or God forbid, a gift certificate to Home Depot or Dollar General? This year, give gifts that will be remembered long after the festive Christmas season.
Exactly, Donna. Give your loved ones gifts that will make a statement. Gifts they can use over and over. well into 2019 and beyond.
Our first suggestion is one of Cowboy Logic Radio's favorite, My First Fire, for ages 2 and older.
That's right, Donna. Now your toddler can explore the wonders of fire lighting with My First Fire.
Complete with an 18-inch fire ring, 12-inch poker, 4 Enduro logs, and yes, an 8-ounce fuel can. This game will spark excitement for hours of flammable fun.
Ho, 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 Donna. Licking batteries and putting weird stuff in the microwave can't hold a candle to the daring delights of My First Fire.
Correctamundo, Don. No more tiresome questions like, Mom, will it burn? Boredom, get ready to meet your match because where there's smoke, there's fun.
And easy setup will please even the most setup challenged parents. But remember, Mom and Dad, contents are flammable and fun.
My First Fire, where you and your toddler can explore the wonders of fire lighting.
And don't forget to enter the promo code Cowboy Logic for a discount of 83%. 83% discount, Donna.
That's quite an amazing savings, Don, and it's quite an amazing gift. What's the next Cowboy Logic Radio Christmas gift?
Next up, and another Cowboy Logic Radio favorite is Hickman Farms Sizzle Bacon-Scented Dryer Sheets, Donna.
Oh my, I'm salivating uncontrollably just thinking about these dryer sheets and their breakfast fresh scent.
Indeed, Donna. And great smelling laundry is just the beginning. The fine people at Hickman Farms have created over 200 bacon-scented products.
That's right, Don. Some of my favorites are bacon-scented deodorant. Feel confident with 24-hour hickory smoked protection. And the Sizzle hand lotion. Since the dawn of time, the softest skin has come from the purest grease.
Hey, Donna, I even use that in my hair. Just a blob about the size of a Susan B. Anthony dollar in my hands, and I run it through my hair. The smell of thick-cut hickory bacon lingers with me all day long.
And Don, don't forget about the Hickman Farms Sizzle Dish Soap. Cuts through the tough grease using real bacon grease. And one of my faves while working around the farm, Hickman Farms Sizzle Insoles. Experience what it's like to walk on cloud swine.
Hickman Farms Sizzle Dryer Sheets. You'll swear your laundry just came out of the frying pan, Donna.
That's right, Don. Our 5 rescue dogs line up next to the outdoor dryer vent. And now through December 24th, you'll get a bonus sock stand. Perfect for your desk or nightstand.
But wait, Donna. There's a promo code for this, too. Just enter Cowboy Logic at checkout and receive a 94.5% discount, Donna.
Wow, Don. That means our beloved audience only pays 5.5% of the normal retail price. Amazing deals are to be found on Cowboy Logic Radio Christmas gifts this year. What else do we have, Don?
Will security please report to Section 3? Security to Section 3, please.
Boy, Donna, isn't this Kmart in-store Christmas music from 1974 stunning?
Makes me want to make more purchases, Don.
Makes me want to look for blue light specials.
What else do we have?
Do you remember shopping and listening to this?
Yes,
I don't.
I do, actually.
Oh, did they do that in New Jersey? Did they have Kmart
Yes.
Christmas music
Yes,
in-store?
they did.
Hey, Donna.
What, Don?
Unique gifts are always the best. Don't you agree, Donna Fiducia?
Yes, Don Neuen, but I'm terrified to ask. What's the next Cowboy Logic Radio Christmas gift?
Donna Fiducia, I knew you'd ask, and I knew you'd be terrified. Up next, Emma Dean's earwax candle kit, Donna.
Oh, my gosh. You picked that gift to share with our beloved listeners?
That's right, Donna Fiducia. Now you can create a candle as unique as yourself with Emma Dean's earwax candle kit.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, your ear is a treasure trove of free usable wax just waiting to be used with Emma Dean's earwax candle kit. When Emma Dean set out for a solution to the rising costs of candles, the answer didn't appear right under her nose. It was inside her. You see, your inner ear is a never-ending gold mine. If you weren't laughing, I'd be fine. Gold mine of wax buildup that replenishes as quickly as it's removed.
Correct, Donna Fiducia. Emma and her team created the patented Max Wax Extraction Cap and Pump, a snug and comfortable way to effortlessly harvest 6 to 10 ounces of earwax every night.
Wow, Don, that's nearly 4 pounds a week. And unlike the audacious fragrances produced by paraffin and soy waxes, the earwax candle yields a natural musk scent, unique to the aroma of each individual.
Indeed, Donna Fiducia. Get out of the dark and bask in the healthy glow of your own wax.
Collecting earwax is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, the extraction. Before earwax is exposed to air, it's a liquid which is easily pumped out of your ear canals by Emma Dean's Max Wax Extraction Cap and Pump.
Step 2, the formation. As the wax passes through the Max Wax collection grates, it coagulates into wax nuggets, approximately 1.5 centimeters in width.
And step 3, accumulation. Simply empty your Max Wax every 2 to 3 days. You'll end up with 1 to 2 cups of soft, pliable wax nuggets that are ready to form into your own unique candle.
The Emma Dean Earwax Candle Kit. Now you can create a candle as unique as yourself.
But wait, Don, there's more. Look for Emma's Gift Nook kiosks this Christmas season, featuring her personally designed line of earwax candles and 100% human hair wall hanging.
Amazing, Donna Fiducia. Simply amazing. So many great and unique gifts are available this year. And we are sharing this wealth of knowledge with our beloved listeners, Donna Fiducia.
Don. It gets better.
No way. Tell me more, Donna Fiducia. How can this possibly get any better?
For our beloved Cowboy Logic radio listeners, simply enter the promo code Cowboy Logic at checkout and receive an amazing 97% discount.
No!
Yes! You only pay 3%, but remember, use the promo code Cowboy Logic at checkout.
Merry Christmas, everyone!
You know, just the picture of dogs with their noses pointing up to the bacon-scented dryer vent was worth the price of admission. These actually really do exist on the
Here's how
internet.
you can find
Pretty
all
damn
this
funny.
stuff, ladies and gentlemen. Go online. You're looking for prank gift boxes.
Really
You'll
is.
find tons of them. They're great. Donna, who do we have coming up?
We're going to be talking to Ron Boat, doing a little cross-promotion. He produces Erskine Overnight, and he's actually got some great production that he works on. And Trevor Loudon will be spending the last hour with us, The Enemies Within, and boy, there's more socialists in the government than you can shake a stick at.
Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah.
Check us out on the web at cowboylogic.us.
Welcome back to Cowboy Logic Radio. I'm Donna Fiducia, along with Don NEUEN. And our special
A very
guest...
well-behaved Don NEUEN, wouldn't you say,
No.
Donna?
The show is not over
This is
yet.
the new me, Donna.
No, it's not. No, the show is not over
I'm
yet.
very much more NPR-esque. Don't you think so, Donna?
God, please. Then I'm going to fall asleep. We would like to talk...
You don't like the new me?
No, I don't like the new you at all. New you at all.
Really?
Okay. Yeah. I
Really?
Uh-huh. I'm expecting you to blurt...
I'm
There it is.
Don NEUEN, ladies and gentlemen. This is an absolutely riveting episode of Cowboy Logic Radio, and we are not going to let you down during this segment either. Back to you, Donna Fiducia.
All right. Making his Cowboy Logic debut is one gentleman by the name of Ron Boat. Now, Ron went to the U.S. Naval Academy, but the School of Music at the Naval Academy, and he spent 3 years with the U.S. Army, the 36th U.S. Army Band. How cool is that? So, therefore, he and Don have something in common. They're musicians.
Yes,
right?
but I'm going to get this out of the way right now, Ron.
Ron played the trumpet.
Right now, I'm a bass player. Mm-hmm. I'm one of the few people on this planet that actually had a scholarship to a university playing the bass guitar.
That's
Not
rare.
many people have accomplished that. Ron, on the other hand, I would label you a brass hole.
Okay, I'll wear that banner probably. And by the way, I do like the new Don NEUEN. So.
Thank you, Ron.
The new Don NEUEN.
Hey,
no,
listen,
the NPR Don NEUEN doesn't cut the mustard. I'm
my
sorry.
brother-in-law is a trumpeter as well, and without trumpets, you would not have the Motown brass, so there you go. Hat tip to you, sir.
So let me ask you this. Did you watch the Army-Navy game this weekend? I bet you did.
No, actually, I was actually busy. And is it true that Trump showed up?
That's what I hear.
Yeah, he showed up, but this is what else is true. The Ninth Circuit Court is overturning his coin toss at the Army-Navy game.
That would be a coin toss.
What did I say?
You said
really?
coin toss.
Oh, coin toss. I am appalled at the Ninth Circuit for overturning this, though. I mean, that's a little much, don't you think, Donna?
Yeah, I think that kind of goes over the
All
top.
right, let's
don't you
get
think,
serious
Ron?
now. We got Ron Boat with us. Let's
We
get
do.
back to the game here.
But Ron, so you're kind of musically inclined. You're into production, and that's pretty much what you've started. Your company's called Production Services of Arizona. So it's psavideo.com. Tell us a little bit about your business.
Well, having a music background all through grade school and high school and college and the service, I just sort of had that particular bent. And then I had a chance to work on the first Fiesta Bowl in 1971 on the production team. And so I just sort of got my taste of production. I liked it. And from there, we just expanded and started doing video production when it became popular, and then started doing more digital work, and then finally doing websites, live events, animation, graphics, all those things that come into play when you talk about production. It all became a part of PSA Video. And, it's been a fun ride. I've met some great people, and I've learned a tremendous lot. It's amazing when you work on a project, you learn so much about different areas of electronics, technology, sports, hospitality, travel, all that stuff.
Now, you do some writing for the Western Free Press, and you can find that at westernfreepress.com and also freedommail.us. Folks, you can find Ron. You can hook up with him, actually, on Twitter. It's @video Ron. But you're in Facebook jail, Ron Boat. Tell us a little bit about that, because I find that to be a badge of honor.
They don't like me there at Facebook for some reason. I'm not sure, but I've literally been in a cell for about 13 of the last 14 months, because I'll go in for 30 days, I'll get out for 2 or 3 days, and then I'm back in again for another 30 days.
What are you doing?
Lately,
What are you doing wrong? What are you doing that's kind of finding their algorithms to nix you there?
I guess they don't like certain words. They don't like certain topics. They don't like certain conservative directions. And the real absurd thing is that, and I've got screenshots I take all the time when I get blocked. They're blocking me. The last time they blocked me was for a post 6 years ago. And so they don't allow for the fact that they block somebody and then they learn their lesson, change their ways, and become nice guys. They just keep going back 2, 4, 6 years, finding stuff you did and continually blocking you for it.
You know what I find?
If that's not censorship.
Exactly. If that's not censorship, what is? I'm also finding that more and more so, and this is basically the communist way of things, little by little, you eventually have no freedoms at all, because Don has posted some things that on Facebook that were fine and then reposted them a few years later. I'm talking about the picture of me sitting on a horse, okay? Ed, the Frisian.
Oh, Ed.
Okay, and it
the
was
well-endowed
pulled.
Ed.
Ed was a stallion.
Ed was feeling good.
That was feeling really frisky this one day.
He was feeling happy with Donna sitting on top
He
of
was
him.
happy that day, sure.
Right, so Don posts, and this has to be 6 or 7 years ago when it first happened,
Yeah.
something about Ed being well endowed, okay? So, and it was fine. Back then, Facebook didn't care. Well, he happened to repost it because, sometimes Facebook will say, this happened
This happened 6 years ago. Would you like to
Yeah, would you like to repost
puke it up again?
Right, so he
Sure.
reposts it.
Relive your memory.
Right, and it was pulled down, and he got a warning almost immediately. I mean, it was actually pretty funny. You think about it.
Those things happen.
And the other thing is, and when we talked with Dr. Carol Swain last week, this is something that she mentioned, and that is Islam is the third rail. That is a problem.
Oh.
And that I find, if you say anything about Islam or anything against Muslims, boom, Facebook really comes right after you. And that is a huge problem now.
Oh, and a couple of years ago, you didn't dare use that term and Obama in the same post.
No, that really is a problem.
That was 2 strikes right there.
So, Ron, are you in Facebook jail right now?
No, I'm out for a couple days now, so I'm surprised. Any day now, I'll be going back to join my friends at the feeding trough in the mess hall, I'm sure.
What was the last thing what'd you do? What was the last thing that landed you in FB jail?
Well, it was interesting because you have the right or the ability to go through and look at your posts and search and delete things. So when I got out of jail the last time, which was on a Thursday, I went through my posts again, which I've done many times. I searched for certain words, and then if there's a post from 2, 3, 5, 6 years ago that had that word in it, then I delete it, and I think I'm clean. And I swear to you, the following day on Friday, they blocked me again and brought up a post that I had used years before that still had that word in it. Now,
What
how
word
can you
is that?
delete everything? It's a nice M word related to certain Muslim-oriented people.
Okay. All right.
See, that is
And-
the third rail. I could have told you that was the reason why you're in Facebook jail. And what really is pissing me off, quite frankly, is the fact that you now have to self-regulate yourself, self-censor yourself. This is the way of the Communist Party. There's no doubt about it.
Well, it's a freedom of speech. It's a loss of that. I mean, I don't adhere to any policy or thought that promotes violence, racism, anything. I'm not into that. I learned a long time ago from a guy that I was in business with, and he always said, how can I say this in a nice way? It's the individual that defines himself. It's not his race. It's not his color. It's not anything. It's the individual. And if you're going to screw up in life, it's on you. It's not on your race. It's not on your religion, your gender, anything else. And, I've tried to make that point in Facebook that if you're screwed up, it's you as an individual that's doing it. But Facebook doesn't buy into that. If you make a comment about a particular race or religion or something, you must be against everybody in the world.
Can you talk a little bit about the situation with Google along this same line? Google is saying they're not going to work with the State Department and on U.S. Basically with the military. However, they're building a website with China that's essentially going to be censored by the Chinese government. Project Dragonfly is what it's called. And all of a sudden lately, a lot of people at Google are starting to say, hey, we don't like this. They're biting the hand that's fed them this whole, so many years. But I find this very distressing that Google would do something like this.
Well, it goes with the old saying about absolute power. And I think we're going to reach the point where at some time the government's going to have to step in. They're going to have to start to evaluate social media and say, you are stepping on the wrong toes. You're censoring people. It's against the Constitution. These people have rights to say things within certain bounds. And Google, because they're the number one force in the world for information, they feel that, well, we can pick and choose and we can do what we want over here with the foreign government because we run their business. We want the access to those billions of people. But in our country, not so much. We do what we want over here. So I think that we're reaching a point where the absolute power is corrupted, absolutely. And, there's not much that we can, what can we do about it? I mean, I know in my own sense, if I Googled my name a year, 2 years ago, I would get a lot of results that came up, different posts, different articles that I've written, different things. Now, if I Google my name, I get maybe 5 or 6. I get LinkedIn, I get Facebook, and I might get, one other thing or 2 or something, but I don't get the 10 or 12, 15, 20 that I used to get a couple years ago. So whatever that reason is, whether they've determined that they don't like my articles that are of a conservative nature or something, I may be on the list. And I don't want to think that about me. I'm just a little guy here in Phoenix. But they're certainly changing the way that results come up. They're cutting out people. If they can get rid of major talk show people on Twitter and Facebook and, start to control things, that's a dangerous slope.
Well, I think if they can try to go after the president of the United States under false pretenses, then that really is a major slippery slope for all of us. Because, in my opinion, this Mueller investigation is a crime in search of evidence, quite frankly. And this is, if they can do that with the president and with a duly elected president, they can do it to all of us. And that really is very scary.
I think it's a non-crime in search of evidence. You keep hearing that collusion is not a crime. You keep hearing that, his contributions to his own campaign is not a crime. And it gets to the point where after tens of millions of dollars and thousands of hours of wasted time for our government and people, at what point does Trump come out and do a national presser and say, I don't want to do this on my own, but I feel that we're wasting too much time, we're wasting too much money. We need to get rid of this investigation thing. They've had 2 years. They found nothing there because there is nothing there. And we just need to get away from this. We need to save the money, save the time, get back to running the country, stop the diversions, and get back to treating people reasonably, particularly people like maybe General Flynn, Manafort. I don't know, you go back 6, 12 years to find a crime or something. And, it's how absurd do we have to get before we wake up?
We're talking with Ron Boat. He went to the U.S. Naval Academy School of Music and spent 3 years in the 36th U.S. Army Band. He's more into the production aspect of things, and therefore his company, which is Production Services Arizona, psavideo.com is where you can find him, psavideo.com. He does produce Erskine Overnight for us here at Talk America Radio. I love Erskine's show, by the way, Ron. I really do. And you can find Ron on Twitter, and that's at Video Ron. And he's currently just out of Facebook jail. Otherwise, you look him up, Ron Boat. And with Erskine Overnight, I just find his show is really entertaining, and I just love some of the little drop-ins. That one thing, here at the nursing home, we listen to Erskine Overnight. It's the only thing we can listen to. He's really funny. But that's one of our Talk America Radio shows.
Yeah, he loves doing the show, and he has such great guests on, and he's very timely. And one thing that Erskine does that a lot of hosts really don't, you guys do it, but he does a lot of research. If somebody's written a book or two, he'll read them beforehand. He'll look at their latest events, activities, posts, any number of things. So he tries to do a lot of research on people before he has them on, and really makes it more interesting. And there's a lot of energy to his show.
Yeah, he does. Talk a little bit about, if you would now, Ron Boat, about your situation and your thoughts about Michael Flynn. To me, totally railroaded, Obama sits there and says to Trump that the guy could be dirty, but then again, Obama had him in his administration. This guy totally was railroaded. Really forced to basically, say that he lied to the FBI. It's just bogus. And then, of course, no jail time, which shows that, to me, Mueller was just grasping at straws.
I think the whole investigation into everything related to Trump, and we're starting to see a lot of things with Cohen come out, but particularly with General Flynn. Yeah, it's, how much information can I get, whether it's true or not, that I can use against a guy that I hate, Trump in name. And I think the general was an easy target. He was a guy that maybe wasn't as strong as somebody like, Corsi right now. And Stone, they're saying, what the heck with you? We're not going to lie. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to play your game. If you want to put us in jail for 20 years, go ahead. Flynn had his family to consider. He had his financial situation, which was deteriorating. And so it's just a matter of, I think, going against him because he was an easy target. He was a high-profile name. And he's just the nicest guy. And they're already getting a rally together for the 18th outside the courthouse in D.C. for his sentencing. And so his sister Barbara has been really strong in leading the fight to help him fund his defense fund and also pull these things together like the rally and so forth.
Yeah. Now, you spoke with him, right? You've actually interviewed him?
Yeah, we just did 4 articles together, 3 of them just on him, 3 of them with him and a couple of other generals, General Honore, General Vallée, and some colonels and other officers on a military subject line, and then just a 4th one up close and personal on the general talking a little bit about his book. And, just putting out some good words, I guess, and letting people know that this is a good guy. He said he's a total patriot, 33 years in the service, 5 years in combat. He was the #1 top military ranking officer for intelligence, and he's very brilliant. He's got some great ideas and philosophies when it comes to protecting America. So people just need to know he's a genuine guy. And like you said, it's all bogus, this stuff that they're bringing up just to get to Trump.
Absolutely. They sit there and they say, and this is the Mueller way and the Rod Rosenstein way. And Andrew Weitzman, Sidney Powell has said that so many times, that they basically ruin you. And then afterwards, well, it's, sorry, I guess maybe, even though 80,000 people lost their jobs in some cases, at least we got our comeuppance. And this is what they're doing. This is their MO. They ruin people. I know John B. Wells and Brendy Richards, our good friends, did a fundraiser for Michael Flynn as well, trying to try to help his family, because at this rate, this is what they do. They're doing it to Jerome Corsi. They ruin you financially because they make you pay tens of millions of dollars practically for legal fees. Same with Manafort.
Yeah, the average person doesn't have a chance. I mean, the average Joe Blow out there, you, me, anybody else that might get caught up for whatever reason on whatever level, we don't have a shot. We don't have hundreds of thousands, let alone millions, to tie up in court. And so, Sidney has a real good input into Weissman and others from the 90s when she was with the DOJ. And there's so many creeps. I'll use that term because she has creepsonamission.com.
Yep.
Yeah. And, it's just there's so many guys out there, and it's a shame. We're wasting so much time and energy. We're not being productive, and that's one of my problems with liberals. They're not positive people. They're negative people. They have nothing good to say. They have nothing good to accomplish. They have nothing good to contribute. And they're all out just making waves, trying to distract, trying to destroy people. God help us when people like Waters and these other people get into these committee positions after the first, that they don't have the country at the best interest at heart. And so it's really a shame to see what's going to happen the next couple of years.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're speaking with Ron Boat. Ron, I would like to ask you to prognosticate, look into your crystal ball, given the fact that you brought up litigation. What do you anticipate is going to happen for the next 2 years regarding Trump, especially given the given the fact that the House has flipped?
Well, I'm going to have to go out to the trunk of my car and get my crystal ball. But, the last time I looked in it, I really felt that it's going to be a waste of time. It's going to be more investigations. They may not go anywhere, but they'll start them. They'll divert us. The House will start these things under Pelosi. Schumer will join in from the Senate side and try and bring up all these things that don't matter, people don't care about, or they have no evidence or no basis for, and they're just going to waste our time. And we're not going to get to where we need to get, and that's improving the country. The economy still has a long way to go. The stock market's been dropping a little bit, but we've got, more regulations to take care of. We've got other important issues, but they're not going to get handled because we're going to waste more and more time. And we just hope that people like Jim Jordan and others who are hoping to be in a position to fight back from the right and also have their own investigations going forward with the Clinton email, the server, the foundation, the uranium one, all those issues that have laid dormant out there for the last 2 years. We're just hoping that they're able to keep those things front and center, do what they can to get something out of them, and maybe overwhelm the Democrats some with what they're going to do. But it's going to be a wasted 2 years, and we're not going to see the legislation come out. We're going to waste time and energy doing other things.
Well, that basically is the Democrat MO. Because they did it with Bush. Deny, stall, slow down, complain, you name it. This is what they do. And you mentioned Maxine Waters. We're going to have Trevor Loudon on for the last hour of the show. And Trevor has said in so many cases, these people that have been in Congress for decades wouldn't even pass a background security check to drive a school bus. That's how bad these people are. And you got Maxine Waters. What is she going to do? Senate banking or something like that? In one of these major committees. It's insane. It's unbelievable.
It isn't tough when you really look at the basis. And the Kavanaugh hearings was a good insight into the left. But when you look at people like Maxine Waters, Sheila Jackson Lee's been sort of under the radar lately. But she hasn't been the brightest bulb on the Christmas tree either. You've got Kamala Harris. You've got Cory Booker. You've got all these people that are floating around out there. They're looking to the future. They have less chance of becoming president than my cat does. But yet they're going to try and put themselves out in the public eye. They're going to try and make a presence known. They're going to stir up trouble. They're going to raise issues. And if they're in charge, God forbid, of these committees, it's a disaster.
Yeah.
And I hate to see all the work undone that Trump has tried to accomplish in the last 2 years because of foolishness. And that's all it is, foolishness.
Talk a little bit about, if you would, Ron Boat, this D.C. courthouse on the 18th for Michael Flynn. This is the sentencing date, right, in D.C.?
Right. And his sister, Barbara, is putting together a rally. There's a lot of people from around the area, particularly, and some around the country who can afford to get there and take the time. I know it's on Twitter. It might be on Facebook, but I know it's on Twitter. And it's a rally of support. They're, of course, assuming that there's not going to be any sentencing, no jail time for him if things continue. It doesn't mitigate the hassles and the costs and the trouble that he's been through, but at least the rally of support shows the general that America does care. The support on Twitter is unbelievable, and I know I'm looking at mostly the right side of the issue, but people love this man. They support him. He needs to be cleared. Forget all this stuff. And the 18th would be, if you're in the area in the East Coast around D.C., it's the D.C. courthouse, and that's where it's going to be in the morning, 8 o'clock.
Yeah, so no jail time. They ruined the guy financially, and we spent so far $30 million on this bogus Mueller investigation. Ron Boat, U.S. Naval Academy graduate, and you can find all his blogs. Right now, he's out of Facebook jail, so good for him. You can find him on Twitter at VideoRon, and his video company out of Arizona is psavideo.com. He does a lot of production services. He produces our Erskine show here on Talk America Radio, Erskine Overnight, and read Ron's stuff at westernfreepress.com and freedommail.us. Ron Boat, thank you so much for joining us here on Cowboy Logic Radio.
Great talking to both of you again.
Thanks a lot. Keep up the great work. And after the break, we'll be talking for the full hour with Trevor Loudon. That's coming up next on Cowboy Logic Radio.
Check us out on the web at cowboylogic.us.
Hello, everyone. I'm Donna Fiducia.
And I'm Don Neuen, and this is Cowboy Logic Radio.
Cowboys didn't dance, didn't wear designer shirts. When their hearts were filled with memories, their bodies filled with hurt. They would sit around the campfire and exchange a piercing glance. Back when the West was really wild, cowboys didn't dance.
Welcome back to Cowboy Logic Radio. I'm Donna Fiducia, along with Don Neuen. And for the next hour, because one segment is never enough, it's like potato chips. You can never have just one segment. And that would be with Trevor Loudon. Trevor is an author, an activist, and actually a movie producer as well, because they made a movie about his books, The Enemies Within. And what The Enemies Within, his book, does is expose the communists, socialists, and progressives in the U.S. Congress. And in my opinion, you can throw Barack Obama in there as well. But Trevor Loudon, welcome back to Cowboy Logic Radio.
Hey, it's great to be on, Don and Donna. It's been too long, and thanks for having me.
Oh, I should mention also, Trevor, your website is where everybody can find everything, and that's Trevor Loudon, LOUDON.com. Now, folks, he's from Christchurch, New Zealand. Can you say that anymore? I know it's Christmas time, but how politically correct? Christchurch, New Zealand. I mean,
yeah, well, it is. You know, I'm waiting for a movement to change the name of the city. You know, something more politically correct. It's just, you know, well, Corpus Christi, Texas. How do they get away with it? You know,
just give them time.
You know, how long are they going to keep calling themselves that?
Exactly. Just give them time. But the thing is, Trevor, what you say is, being from New Zealand, you've seen what can happen, and people say to you, well, you know, I'll just move to New Zealand if something happens in the United States. That's definitely the no-no, because, like you say, if the U.S. goes down, that's the end, baby, because there's just no other final frontier.
Well, exactly. You know, the Chinese are knocking on our doorstep now. They've taken over many of the islands in the Pacific. You know, they're in Samoa, they're in Tonga. They've basically controlled Fiji, Vanuatu, and others, and they're knocking on our doorstep. They're buying up our land, our farmland. They've just passed a law allowing the Chinese to buy up a whole lot of businesses in my country. You know, if America goes down, we become part of their empire very, very quickly. So yeah, there is nowhere to run, because if there was, I would be there.
I guess instead you're in the United States, which kind of makes me feel good, I guess. But,
well, I'm on the front line, you know. Just, you know, your fathers and grandfathers went to Europe to stop the Nazis, because that was the front line of freedom then. Well, now the front line is the U.S. That is the front line for liberty right now.
Trevor Loudon, you have spoken a lot about the red-green axis. And
yeah.
You know, I want you to explain that again to our listeners. You've talked about it on our show in the past, but I got to tell you, I mentioned this past weekend something to Donna, and I've not said it before, and that is that I'm concerned that we're seriously getting to the point where this is irreversible. And I'd like to get you to weigh in on that. First of all, give the listeners, again, a thumbnail sketch of the red-green axis and the threat within, and then turn me around from a little bit of negativity that I think we may be getting to the point of no return here with all this crap.
Well, the red-green axis is the alliance of Marxism and Islam. Now, you know, a lot of people laughed at that concept only a few years ago. A lot of informed conservatives laughed at it. You know, how could atheistic communism have anything to do with theistic, 7th century Islam? Well, you know, this goes back a long way. You know, when the Soviet Union formed, they had a lot of Muslims in their territory, and they knew if they tried to crack down on them, they would get a serious rebellion. So what they did was they infiltrated the madrasas, they infiltrated the mosques, and they turned Soviet Islam into a communist force. Now, they spread that idea right through the Middle East. The Soviet Union set up the Palestine Liberation Organization. They worked with the Muslim Brotherhood, which is the father of Hamas and Al-Qaeda and ISIS. They work with ISIS. They work with the Taliban. Still today, the Russians are still working with these people. And in America and Europe, the left and the Islamists work hand in glove. You know, people like Linda Sarsour, who's a very well-known Muslim radical in this country, is also a member of Democratic Socialists of America. You know, the head of CARE, Nihad Awad. CARE is the Council on American Islamic Relations, the biggest Muslim civil rights organization in the country, completely left-wing, works completely with the communist movement. And Nihad Awad was a Soviet front operative before he became a Muslim operative. So this is right through, even the old Nation of Islam, Farrakhan's group. They had Communist Party editors at their newspaper for a long time. So you'll find that Islam is a tool of the communists, much like the Black Lives Matter movement is a tool of the communists, the feminist movement, the gay rights movement, the environmental movement. These are all tools of international communism. And some may say that, the Muslims are playing the communists, and when they take over America, they'll fight each other for supremacy. Well, yeah, that may be true. That's just a little bit late for us.
Exactly.
So right now, they are working together to bring America down. They're working in the Middle East. They're working through the United Nations, and they're working in Europe and on America's territory. And in Latin America, the communists and the Muslims are working with the drug dealers to bring America to its knees. So, yeah, the red-green axis is very, very real, and it's very, very dangerous.
What really scares me is you have Nancy Pelosi, now that she's going to come back into power, saying, there's no way we're going to fund that wall. You know, it was Stalin or Lenin, one of those two, that basically said, accuse your enemy of what you yourself are doing. And to me, it is the Democrat Party, quite frankly, that is in cahoots with the Russians, with the Muslim Brotherhood, to try to bring down this country. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're completely right. You know, the Democratic Party today is not the party of Harry Truman or JFK. Since the 90s, it's been completely taken over by the radical left. Now, that doesn't mean your next-door neighbor who's a good Democrat and supports the NRA and might have been a veteran is some kind of communist. But it does mean the leadership of today's Democratic Party is completely sold out to Marxism. And most of the rank and file have no idea. Now, you talked before, Don, about whether we're at the point of no return. And I've got to say we're very close. You know, one bad election and we could be there. And And I'll say very simply that the simplest way I think people can understand this is just by a little bit of math. You know, one of the Democrats and the communists' main planks is amnesty for illegal immigrants. Now, people have got to understand why they're doing this, why they want to keep the borders open, why they will never fund that wall no matter what. Because this is very simple. MIT recently said, Massachusetts Institute of Technology recently said there are 22 million illegals in the country right now. They've been telling us 11 million for years. Now they're saying it's 22.
I think it's like 30 million, quite frankly. But
I think it's 30 to 40 million. I think it's 30 to 40 million. But let's go with 22 million. Even if we went with 11 million, just do a little bit of math. 11 million illegal immigrants in the country. We know that on past patterns, they will vote about 80 to 90% Democrat. Now, if you consider that Mitt Romney lost his election by 2.5 million votes, and Donald Trump only won by 200,000 votes, and actually lost the popular vote by 3 million, it was only the Electoral College that saved us. So you look at those figures, then you look at, say, 11 million illegal immigrants. That gives the Democrats 7 to 8 million new votes overnight. Like Hillary Clinton promised she was going to legalize every single illegal immigrant within 100 days of taking office. That would have given the Democrats, say, 7 million new voters. Could have been up to 14, 15, maybe 20 million new voters. Immediately that happens, Texas is gone, Georgia is gone, North Carolina is gone, Arizona is gone.
Florida.
You will have Florida is gone. There will never be another Republican president in America's history. America becomes a one-party Democratic state at that point, and the Democratic Party is now ruled by Marxists.
Yep. We become
in the last
California.
election, you become way, way worse than California. You become Venezuela.
Yeah.
You become Cuba, because that is their plan. You make no mistake about that. That is their plan, and we are one election away from having this country probably slip away forever. You've always got to take miracles into account, but on pure math alone, one more election that goes the wrong way loses this country. So that's how close we are. That's what a knife edge this country's sitting on. And I'll tell you straight, if this country goes down, so does all of the Western world. So these are pretty big stakes we're playing for here.
I could not agree with you more. You know, I believe in that same study, Trevor Loudon, that they said, or they had a statement or a figure of 4.6 million households that were illegal households. Now, I don't know about you, but most of the illegal households that I'm aware of, and this is based on this census that took place either last year or the year before, 4.6 million. I don't know how many of those households have 2 or 3 people in them. Most of the time, those households are going to have 4 or 5 or 6 people in them. And also, an interesting fact about that, if I'm not mistaken, 2/3 of those households are on the public dole. They're receiving enormous public assistance that's all of our taxpayer money. So
they're a big pool of potential Republican voters, right?
Yeah. Big
I'm
time.
sure.
Yeah,
They're
going to vote 80. They're going to vote 80 to 90% Democrat. The Democrats are deliberately keeping the borders open because illegal immigration is their road to unchallenged power. It's their road to a permanent one-party state in America. And most Democratic voters have no idea of the consequences of what they're voting for.
And
most Republicans don't understand the consequence of this.
But what gets me is nobody reports about Venezuela, because now that Venezuela's gone the way this country very well could go, they don't want to talk about the failures of communism and socialism. You know, we're watching the show The Americans, which is about...
Yeah.
You know, and it's about these Russians that basically have been so educated they don't even have an accent, so they can kind of meld right into the American way of life.
Well, they're entrenched in society, these officers. And Trevor, it sounds like you've seen the show. Probably many of our listeners have seen this show as well. Have you seen it? You are familiar with what we're talking about?
Look, I'm very familiar. I've read lots of reviews. I read the Communist Party newspaper, which reviews every episode.
Mm-hmm.
What is your take on it? I mean, granted, it's Hollywood,
but I just wanted to interject here because I was in Moscow when this is set back in the 80s. I went to Moscow as well back then in the early 80s, and they had this one scene where they're at a dinner table with a couple that had just come in from Russia, and they were just astounded at how much food there was, how plentiful the food was in the restaurants. And, only the people at the top get this kind of treatment like we get here in the United States that we take for granted. It's not a level playing field because the idiots, the useful idiots essentially is what the communists call them, have no idea that you can't just go to Kroger or go to ShopRite or go to Publix and as much food as you want is always going to be there. It's not like that in any other country, period.
No, it isn't. And but the communists will tell you, well, the only reason that it's like that is because the capitalist countries, particularly America, starve and sabotage the Soviet and communist economies. Yeah. So to have real communism, you've got to destroy America. That's their rationale. But I think Don was saying, like what's presented in that show is pretty accurate from one point of view. There are probably hundreds of sleepers like that in America. They had a whole bunch of them in New Zealand. They have them in every Western country, and some of them are in very prominent positions. But there is a slant in that show that it sort of shows these people as just patriots who, the Cold War was equally bad. The Soviets were just the same as the Americans. The Americans were pretty bad in trying to destroy the Soviet Union. So these were just patriots doing what they had to do to serve their country. Yeah. There's no real sense in the show that the Soviet Union was an evil totalitarian power that was doing everything it could from the inside and the outside to bring America down, and that America was basically just defending itself. That whole moral side is lost. But what it shows these people doing is largely accurate, and these people are still doing this kind of stuff. The KGB is more active than ever. It's changed its name, but it's more active in the United States than it's ever been. So are the Cubans, so are the Chinese, so are the North Koreans, so are the Venezuelans. There are thousands of intelligence officers operating on American soil right now.
Well, not only are they in Washington, D.C., but they're in our communities. Now, I'm not necessarily saying they're in Roopville, Georgia.
Probably not.
But they may well be.
Well, yeah, you never know, especially if they're going after agriculture. But
you can guarantee some of the Muslim Brotherhood activists will be very, very close to you. They have thousands of people scattered throughout America as well, little towns everywhere.
Oh, I agree. Well, they say you can't walk one city block in Washington, D.C. without passing or walking with both Russian and Chinese operatives multiple times within that one city block, right?
I would say that's pretty right. Look, if you looked at all the intelligence agents working in America now, it would be in the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands.
Not to mention on our college campuses.
Well, exactly. It's phony.
Yeah,
the Russians have so infiltrated our education system. I mean, that's the collusion right there. I mean, this whole thing with Russian collusion and Donald Trump is such a joke, given what is just out there as plain as the nose on Rod Rosenstein's face, quite frankly. That this is what is going on. What Hillary Clinton is in bed with the Russians. The whole thing is just such it's insane. You couldn't write a movie better than this.
Well, as you said, Lennon said, accuse others of what you're doing yourself.
Yeah.
And the Democrats have been colluding with the Russians for 60 years now.
Yeah, Ted Kennedy, big time.
Ted Kennedy was an obvious case, went to Russia, to basically, sabotage Ronald Reagan's foreign policy. Offered with the KGB to sabotage Reagan if they would help to make him president. And I had a friend who talked to a CIA officer about that. And he said, did you know what Kennedy was doing? They said, of course we knew. He said, well, why didn't you do something? Well, he was a Kennedy. He was untouchable.
Yeah, untouchable.
Just like the Clintons are untouchable. Just like George Soros is untouchable. These people are committing treason every day, and nobody does a damn thing to stop them.
It's funny you mentioned that because Louis Gohmert was on Fox Business last week, and he talked about how George Soros was basically a Nazi war criminal. And about a half hour later, they did a disclaimer. Stuart Varney came on and goes, Louis Gohmert said this and this and this about George Soros, so we have no substantial evidence to say that. I'm thinking to myself, are you serious? Come on.
This is well documented. This comes from Soros' own mouth. And the latest line is, as if you accuse George Soros of meddling, and now Soros has put $18 billion into the progressive and socialist movement in this country in recent years. $18 billion. And if you accuse him of meddling in American affairs, the latest thing is to accuse you of anti-Semitism.
Yeah, right.
Because George Soros was born an ethnic Jew. He hasn't practiced Judaism since he was a kid. He hates Israel. He's basically, in my view, a Russian agent. So to accuse George Soros of meddling and you get accused of anti-Semitism is one of the sickest jokes you could imagine. George Soros doesn't even claim to be Jewish, let alone a practicing Jew or a pro-Israel Jew, not in the least.
Spending most of my time in the New York City area, a lot of the Jewish people really view the government almost as their religion. They are not religious by any stretch of the imagination, and that's why the majority of them in the New York area will vote Democrat. Trump did the whole thing with Jerusalem, and nobody says anything. Previous presidents all said they were going to move the capital to Jerusalem, and nothing happened. Trump does it within 2 years, and the Jews still hate him. It just makes no sense to me, but I've had it explained to me by someone in New York many, many times saying, look, basically the government is their religion, which again makes no sense to me because look at Germany. In Germany, that's what happened. They put their trust in the government and they gave up their guns and they were told to get on the train. And this is just something that if you don't learn from history, you're bound to repeat it. And we've just gone through the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. We've gone through V-Day. The whole thing. If you were to talk to a millennial right now, they couldn't even tell you who fought in World War II or World War I, let alone what Pearl Harbor was.
Well, most millennials certainly don't understand American history. They don't understand America's greatness. They're told repeatedly that the only reason America is rich is because it ripped off the third world for decades. So they don't want to defend American values. They don't want to defend America. They're easy meat for the socialists and communists and jihadis infesting this country. And if we don't turn education around, no matter what else we do, we are going to lose this country.
Yeah, that's not going to happen in time.
State of affairs.
Unfortunately, the Russians have made sure that our education system is basically an indoctrination system instead. We're talking with Trevor Loudon. He's an author, an activist, and a movie producer. His big book is The Enemies Within, exposing the communists, socialists, and progressives in the U.S. Congress. Trevor, we're going to take a break here. Find him, by the way, at Trevor Loudon, LOUDON.com, TrevorLoudon.com. But when we come back after the break, Trevor, I want to talk about your book because The Enemies Within has to be totally updated now. You've got Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez in there. You've got basically out-and-out socialists, and they make no bones about it. So we're going to talk about how you're updating this, and I think you have to make it into 2 segments because you need one for the Senate and one for the House. It's just unbelievable.
Yep. That's what I'm doing.
All right. All right, Trevor, we'll talk to you right after the break. Again, with Trevor Loudon. Find him at TrevorLoudon.com and The Enemies Within.
Check us out on the web at cowboylogic.us.
We're back with Trevor Loudon. Again, find him at TrevorLoudon.com. That's LOUDON. He's an author, an activist. He's from Christchurch, New Zealand. But I'm sure Trevor will be just a matter of time before they change the name of that, because you can't have anything religious, even this Christmas holiday. But we can say Merry Christmas now because Donald Trump told us that. Talk a little bit about, if you can, though, seriously, The Enemies Within. And what this book is, folks, it's like the Bible. It's as thick as the Bible, quite frankly, but it's all notated. You've got proof about who is the socialists and communists in our government today. And because, Trevor, now we've been talking to you for years, obviously people come and go in the House of Representatives. You need to update this now because we've got some avowed socialists and communists in there now. Before it was just Bernie Sanders, but there's a whole lot more to talk about, and that's why you need to update your book.
Yeah, well, look, the book title was The Enemies Within, Communists, Socialists, and Progressives in the U.S. Congress. Now, most Americans think about communism as much as they think about Mongolian ballet. You know, it's all over, it's gone, it's history. But nobody told the communists that. And since the 1990s, those 70s and 80s radicals who marched against the Vietnam War, supported the Viet Cong, who supported the Nicaraguan Sandinistas and the Cubans, they are now in Congress. You've got at least, well, before the election, you had about 100 members of the House and 20 members of the U.S. Senate who couldn't pass a background check. They were so involved with the Chinese or the Cubans or the Communist Party or Democratic Socialists of America, they couldn't pass a basic security background check. But the problem is, there are no security checks in Congress. Well, what's changed is this. Since the last election, there's now about 120 members of Congress who couldn't pass a security background check. They talk about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, an open member of Democratic Socialists of America. But so is Rashida Tlaib from Michigan, who just got elected. Plus, she's involved in several Muslim Brotherhood front groups. But Jerry Nadler, who chairs the House Judiciary Committee, the one who's going to lead the impeachment of President Trump, has also been a long-time member of Democratic Socialists of America, and that is a communist organization, by the way. Jan Schakowsky of Chicago has also been a member of Democratic Socialists of America. So has Danny Davis. You know, you've got a whole bunch of Congress members. Raul Grijalva, who's going to head the Environment Committee, has a long history with the Communist Party. So is Rosa DeLauro, the one who is going to determine which Congress members go into which congressional committees. So has Barbara Lee. She's been to Cuba 20 times, and she is working with Rosa DeLauro on that committee as well. As I said, you've got at least 100 members of the House who are so enmeshed with foreign powers, the Chinese, the Saudis, the Pakistanis, the Cubans, the Venezuelans, or the Communist Party, or the Muslim Brotherhood, or DSA, sometimes all of them, that they couldn't pass a security background check to drive a school bus.
How come that's not required?
Well, because the people are supposed to vet the candidates, right?
Yeah,
and the media is supposed to help you do it, right?
Well, they did that. We wouldn't have Barack Obama either, but that's another.
Look, Barack Obama wouldn't have been allowed to clean the toilets at any military base in the United States. There was no way he would have been allowed to work in the post office or the Department of Agriculture. There's no way. He had communist, Islamic, radical, terrorist ties going back to his childhood. They never stopped. They're still ongoing. Barack Obama recently sent a message to the 100th birthday celebration of Chicago Communist Party member B. Lumpkin, his old friend. You know, Obama was a complete and utter communist. Yet,
but again,
Trevor, the media won't say that.
No.
Trevor, you know, we've said this over and over, especially when we have you on the show with us. It is the responsibility of the American voter to vet these individuals, and that's why they don't have this security background check, because it's supposed to be the job of us, the American voter, and we're failing miserably at doing this. Trevor Loudon, has anybody from the Trump administration tapped you on the shoulder and said, come and talk with us, help educate us? Has anybody from his administration done that?
No, but I do know that many members of his administration have watched my movies. Many members have referenced my books. I don't know how far up the chain this goes. I hope it goes all the way to the top, but I don't know for sure. But yeah, the information is there. I know it's been seen, read in some pretty important circles, but I haven't had an audience with the man himself or anything of that nature. And I don't think I really need it. You know, I think the next movie that comes out, I think the updated books will be read by congressmen and senators on both sides of the House, and they will be read by high-ranking people in the Trump administration, because they will blow the lid off this even more so than my first books. I learned a heck of a lot in the last 3 or 4 years, and it's all coming out in print early next year.
Well, when you say in the last 3 or 4 years, you need to add that to the last 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 years that have been invested by you in the writing and the research of the first edition of this book, correct? I mean, this is a project that has been, you know, you're going on, what, 15 years now? 12 years of research?
Well, look, I've been intensively researching the United States for about the last 12 or 13 years. But before that, I was researching international communism since the 80s. So, you know, I have been to university libraries all over the States, looking through hidden archives. I've poured through thousands of hours of communist videos and tapes and interviews. I've interviewed communists. I've interviewed intelligence officers, former KGB officers, FBI agents, CIA officers. I can say unequivocally, I know more about American communism than anybody else who's never been in the movement. You know, from an outside point of view, I know more about it than anyone else. That's not a boast. Accurate. That's just a fact.
Yep.
Yeah, that's just a fact.
All right, let me ask you this, Trevor Loudon. Our beloved listening audience, what are they able to do to help your cause? Outside of buying your books and buying copies of your DVDs, what can they do? What phone calls can they make? Who can they call? What can they do to become a soldier in the Trevor Loudon Army?
Look, I think one of the best things they could do is get on Twitter and Facebook and call on people like, you know, like Glenn Beck. I've been on his show a few times, but not recently. Call on people like Mark Levin, Rush Limbaugh, Sean Hannity, and try and get me on some of these top shows.
Yeah,
I've been on hundreds of radio interviews around the country. I've been on lots of TV shows, but never those ones that reach millions of conservatives at a time.
Yeah.
You know, I think a good hour's interview with Mark Levin would open a lot of eyes. I think being on with Sean Hannity would stir the pot like you wouldn't believe. So I think trying to get me on those shows would be fantastic. You know, with Twitter, Facebook, any connections that people have. Also, we're doing another movie at the moment which needs funding. It's called Enemies Within the Church, all about the communist infiltration of the churches. And people can donate to that project by going to enemieswithinthechurch.com. So that's another way you could help get that project off the ground. But I think what I'd like to do is try and get what I'm saying to a higher level. And I know there's not many higher levels in Cowboy Logic, really. But, you know, Hannity and Levin and people like that would be, even Tucker Carlson, I think would be a good next step. And I think we need to take that next step while we still can.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You've got your marching orders at this point. Let's help out Trevor Loudon. Trevor, you know, you brought up something just a second ago about the infiltration of the churches. Now, we're in the Bible Belt down here.
Yep.
That's kind of disturbing to hear. Any way that you can expand on that a little bit and either totally creep people out or put some of us, our minds at ease?
Well, no, I'm sorry, I can't put your mind at ease. Look, there's three main strands to this. Now, like the mainstream Protestant churches in America were taken over by the Marxists in the 40s, 30s, 50s, even the 20s. This goes back a long way. The Episcopalians, the Methodists, the Lutherans, they were all infiltrated a very long time ago because Soviet agents were told to do that because they knew that American churches were fundamental to American freedom, to American liberty, American conservatism. And they couldn't take America from the outside, so they made a concerted effort to infiltrate the churches. Now, the Catholic Church stood very, very strongly against communism for a long time. And they thought they were safe from infiltration because they thought no communist would ever become a priest because you have to take a vow of celibacy. And they thought no communist would ever do that, so they thought they were safe. Now, Ballard Dodd, who was a Communist Party member, a very senior one back in the 30s, who returned to the Catholic Church, talked about how she helped to recruit 1,100 young communists to enter the priesthood in America, many of them homosexual. You know, you don't have to, you know, who cares about celibacy if you're a gay priest? You know, we know what that's led to in the church. And so these young Marxists have been infiltrating the church for 60 years now. How many of them became bishops, cardinals? And
Popes.
Now we have the Pope. So now we have the specter of the Marxist Pope Francis,
Exactly.
who is a complete Marxist. He boasted about how he used to help his best friend, who was in the Communist Party back in Argentina, hide communist literature from the authorities. He couldn't wait till the Communist Party newspaper turned up at his house every week so he could read it avidly. But the third strand of this is probably the most disturbing of all because, see, American evangelical Christianity, which is big in Georgia, right through the South, and I put the Southern Baptists in with this, have always been pure. They've always been truly Christian, and they've been politically conservative. They are the people who elected Ronald Reagan and Donald Trump. They are the people who supported Israel all the way through. Well, under the influence of people like Rick Warren and Russell Moore of the Southern Baptist Ethics Commission and Tim Keller of the Gospel Coalition and Bill and Lynn Hybels of the Willow Creek Church in Chicago and obviously Jim Wallace of Sojourners, you know, Obama's spiritual mentor, they have been infiltrating heavily into the evangelical churches. It's got to the point now where many of the young pastors are well to the left. Many of the young pastors who once would have supported Ronald Reagan and Israel are now supporting Bernie Sanders and Palestine. And you're seeing a shift in the evangelical churches to the left and to the Democratic Party. As this trend continues, and it's well advanced, the social justice, global warming, end white privilege trend in the evangelical churches, if this continues, the evangelical churches will not become the bulwark of conservatism that they have been. They will become the tool of the left, and the conquest of this country will be complete. It's that serious, and it's that far advanced, and it's caught most of us by surprise. It is a very disturbing trend.
Here's what's disturbing to me is how all of
That
these trends,
wasn't?
well, but it's part of it. You've got the religion, you've got education, social, everything. This has been going on for decades. Where are the conservatives in this? Why aren't they infiltrating Russia or Cuba or Venezuela? This is what is so frustrating to me. We don't fight back until, quite frankly, Donald Trump.
Well, we fought back when we could see the Red Army parading in Red Square, and the Soviet Army, conquering Europe, and Soviet surrogates conquering Africa and Latin America. And we did fight back, and we beat them back. But when that Soviet threat disappeared, so did the America's anti-communist resolve. We just gave up on it. And I compare this to cancer. If you have a tumor and you cut out 90% of it and you leave it for 10 years, what's your body going to look like?
Yeah.
It's going to be metastasized all through you. Well, that's what's happened to communism. The Soviet Union went into major retreat. I believe the Soviet Union is still run by communists, by the way, but even if it isn't, the Soviet Union went into major retreat. But communism advanced all through the Third World. It took over most of Latin America. It took over most of Africa. It's infiltrated heavily through Europe. It's basically right through Canada. Right, the Mexican president is now a communist. Justin Trudeau of Canada is pretty much the same way. And now they've infiltrated right through the American Congress and now control the Democratic Party. It is metastasized out of control, and to the point where it's almost terminal. And so America has just gone to sleep and forgotten all about communism. And it's like cancer. You don't know you've got it till you're almost dead sometimes. And that's where America is now. We're not fighting back because they've taken over our culture. They've taken over our media. They've taken over much of our government. They've taken over our churches. And most Americans wouldn't know communism now if they fell over it. So that's where we are.
You brought up South Africa. Now, anybody that's been reading the news over the last 6 months is aware that some devastating things have been going on in South Africa for many years, but most recently, land grabs of white farmers.
Yep.
I know you're studying that. Would you give us a recap of that?
Yeah, well, look, the Communist Party took over South Africa in 1994. When Nelson Mandela became president, who was a Communist Party member, most of his cabinet in the African National Congress were either secret or open Communist Party members. And they didn't go crazy straight away. People have to understand, they look at places like China, which has private business. They look at Vietnam, which has private business, and they think these people can't be communists anymore. Well, you've got to understand that communism is very willing to tolerate private enterprise for a certain period of time if it suits its end. Mm-hmm. Now, so the communists took over South Africa. They allowed private businesses to carry on to do the mining, to extract the mineral wealth. They did a whole lot of big deals with China. So now most of South Africa's strategic minerals are going to China. Chinese own a lot of their industries there now. And now that they've fully consolidated that relationship, they don't need the white farmers or white business people any longer. So now they're going to do what they did to them in Zimbabwe and drive them out of the country or kill them. So you're going to see South Africa turn into Zimbabwe and controlled largely by the Chinese, one of the most strategic countries in the world with some of the world's greatest stores of military wealth is going to be controlled by China. It already is. And those white farmers and those white business people who thought, oh, well, these communists aren't so bad after all, we can live with them, they're going to find out to the contrary. And it's just like the Jews in Germany. They've left it too damn late to get out, and they're going to pay for it, unfortunately.
Yep.
Wow.
In your opinion, rank the following in order of the greatest threat to the American citizen. Number 1, Russia. Number 2, China. 3, Iran. 4, North Korea. 5, the Democrat Party.
Russia, then the Democratic Party, then China. Well, Russia controls the Democrat Party. And Russia and China are allies, so it's pretty much those three at the top. You know, Iran and North Korea are just puppets of Russia and China. They don't do anything that Russians and Chinese don't tell them to do.
So the new
and
the
United Nations
evil
is right up there too.
Oh, yeah, right.
The new axis of evil is now Russia, China, the Democrat Party, right?
Pretty much, yeah. And people will laugh at that, but that's exactly what it is.
No, what I'm laughing
exactly
at is the
what
fact
it is.
that Heather Nauert, who I worked with at the Fox News Channel and know her pretty well, is going to be the new Nikki Haley at the UN. That just blows my mind.
Oh, okay.
Did you know
the
that?
State Department spokesman. I didn't know you worked with her. I didn't know her background.
Yeah, she's
Well, that's interesting.
a Fox News Channel
Well,
anchor.
let's hope that she does a stellar job.
She did a good job at the State Department. She did actually a very nice job at the State Department as their spokesperson.
Oh, I hope she does. But this is the point. One of the most hopeful signs on the horizon right now is Brazil, because Brazil has just, after 16 years of Marxist government, has just elected an anti-communist president, Bolsonaro, and he is cracking down on the left like you wouldn't believe. He just cancelled a big climate change conference that was going to be held in Brazil, and he has said, and I hope he does it, that he's going to pull Brazil out of the United Nations. The fifth largest country in the world could be about to pull out of the United Nations. Well, I want President Trump to follow that lead, pull America right out of the UN. The UN is nothing but a tool of Russia and China, and American taxpayers foot most of the bill. It is not. This is a no-brainer, people. Mm-hmm. Follow Brazil's lead and pull right out.
They'd easily get the $5 billion they need to build the wall with that money, with that savings.
Well, exactly. Divert the money you spend on the United Nations and put it into the wall.
Exactly.
That would be the best favor you could do to the American public you could imagine.
Trevor,
the United Nations is just... Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Well, it's a Trojan horse in America. It's the agent of Russia and China and North Korea and Iran, and Americans pay for it. Don't just go there and abuse them, which Nikki Haley did, which was great. Actually get out of it. Just get them off American soil and never pay them another dime.
Yeah, we could use
we should evict the United Nations. Let me ask you this, Trevor. What country do you think would be a good place to house the United Nations? Because I don't think the United States is that country.
I think North Korea would be perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah,
and then Heather Nauert would be out of a job.
I've heard their winters are mild.
Really. Trevor, we've only got a couple minutes left. Real quick, tell everybody where they can get hold of your stuff and the fact that you are rewriting and updating The Enemies Within in 2 separate volumes because there's so much
one for the
there.
Senate, one for the House. Yeah, unfortunately, the books keep getting bigger and bigger the more I learn. I want them to get smaller and smaller.
Well, the one that we have right here, hold on a second. The one that we have right here
keep it on the
is
table
688 pages long.
So you're going to have that split in half, one for the Congress and one for the Senate, because it's just too much now.
Yeah, and unfortunately they'll probably be both just about as big as that one, but never mind. Look, that's my book. I'm also doing another book on the Democrats' plan for using racial politics to destroy the country, and that's called The Rainbow Conspiracy. And so you go to my daily blog, TrevorLoudon.com, and you'll see notices about that. And please go to www.enemieswithinthechurchmovie.com. www.enemieswithinthechurch.movie.com, and you can see a trailer there of the movie, and you can donate towards it. That would be one of the best things you could do to help the cause right now.
So it's The Enemies Within. And again, folks, that book, which is a coffee table book we have here at our farm, is going to be in 2 updated segments, one for the Congress, one for the Senate, because there's just so many communists, socialists, and progressives in the U.S. Congress. And then again, with your latest movie, it's enemieswithinthechurchmovie.com. And your new book talking about racial divide, The Rainbow Conspiracy. When is that going to be out, Trevor?
Well, all 3 of those books are going to come out early next year.
Good.
They're all largely written.
Hopefully we can get you on with Mark Levin to update this.
I have a very quick suggestion.
Yeah, look, I'd love to do that.
A very quick suggestion for our listeners, and I know we're running short on time. Ladies and gentlemen, go buy this book and have it delivered to your congressman. That's how you can help. You can kill 2 birds with one stone, to be politically incorrect. You can help Trevor Loudon. You can buy his book, but you can also send it and have it delivered as a Christmas gift to your congressman.
And you can find it at TrevorLoudon.com. That's TrevorLoudon. TrevorLoudon.com. Trevor, thank you so much for joining us here. And
it's a pleasure, Don and Donna.
We always love to end with a quote. And this one from Joseph Goebbels, the Nazi propagandist minister. If you tell a lie big enough and keep repeating it, people will eventually come to believe it. And I would say that kind of ties the whole thing into Russian collusion. Thank you so much, Trevor Loudon, for joining us here on Cowboy Logic Radio.
Great pleasure. See you guys soon, and thanks for the opportunity.
And that closes another Cowboy Logic for the week. Thank you guys for joining us. Find us at cowboylogic.us. We'll see you next week. Have a Merry Christmas. I hope you're enjoying the holiday season. And in the meantime, God bless America.
It's all around me. It's all around me. It's all around me. Yeah.
Check us out on the web at cowboylogic.us.